All right, welcome everyone, and welcome to Brian and Cameron from Eugene Levy. Thank you guys so much for being here. Could you introduce yourselves and give us a little quick previously on segment for the band and how you got to where you are now?
Cameron, I would like you to start because you're the beautiful one.
No, I'm Cameron, and I play guitar and write a good amount of the instrumentals for the band. I was added second to last, actually, in regards to the members. I've been with the band now for 2 years, I think, and the band's been around for a little over that. So I came in pretty early, but the band kind of already had their start, the first EP out before I got in. So.
And so I guess this is my turn to say something, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Brian Martinez. I sing for the band Levy. I founded the band out of my old band. I was just thinking about doing something really fun, and then Levy was the product of that, I guess.
That's killer, dude. My first reaction when I heard you guys, I mentioned before we started recording that I'd obviously been listening before we got to talk, and my first reaction, and tell me if this is fair or something that you like to hear, was Story So Far meets All Time Low.
Wow. That's a really first. Cool. That's cool. Great, though. So I would say everybody kind of compares us to Newfound Glory and, you know what I mean? Like early, 2000 style stuff.
Yeah.
But we're kind of moving towards that Story So Far, you know what I mean? Bringing modern and mixing that, we're trying to mix the two. So that early 2000s, very upbeat, positive 4-chord progression, as well as some chordy, you know what I mean? Chordy, Story So Far style riffing and that sort of thing. Melodic, but also, got that great pop influence to it, catchy. So yeah, man, we're trying to mix everything together.
And those are two sick bands. So being compared to
great bands, dude. I love Story So Far,
man. Like I really used to like All Time Low, and I still think they're a good band. They actually just released a new song, or didn't just release it, but their new song that I think is like hitting radio is like actually really catchy, and I was surprised.
Super pop, man.
But yeah, dude, that's actually cool. Thank you for that. That's rad.
Of course, yeah. And the thing that I liked about that so much is something that I've talked with my bandmates and various people about is a lot of bands forget to write instrumental hooks, and you guys, I feel like, are bouncy riffs plus a really sick vocal flow, and that combination is really what kind of sucked me in.
Yeah,
is that something that's intentional?
Yeah, dude,
absolutely.
Like Cameron, like my brain, like before Cameron, I was more focused on like making really simple like 4-chord songs, and Cameron is more of a, like, obviously he's a guitar player at heart. That's what he does, and so he was thinking to himself, like, I need to bring in these guitar hooks, which isn't necessarily my personal forte. If you listen to the first EP compared to the second EP, there's a big difference, I think. And the second EP is the one that Cameron actually, like, he joined the band and started writing on. And you can tell, like, that difference between the two. And Cameron could talk a lot about the riffage and whatnot. But, like, it 100% is Rogue. Sorry, my dog. But no, it's 100% intentional because Cameron just comes to the table with some cool riffs, and I try my best to put up a cool melody. So.
Yeah, Brian does really well with the with hook writing. Creating that catchy hook, something that's going to get the masses attention. Some people really get hooked in onto an instrumental melody and an instrumental hook and that sort of thing. But man, if the vocals ain't there and that vocal melody isn't there, you lose 95% of people immediely. So Brian does really well with hooks. He does very, very well with melody writing, quickly too. I mean, this kid writes quick, man. And a lot of musicians, it takes them a long time to find the right, that right melody that actually vibes and actually hits home. When I write a song, I generally write the entire song instrumentally. And
Yeah,
intro riff, or that intro melody is typically the hook. That hook, that the instrumental hook melody, but it's got to be catchy to me. Not only fun to play, right? Because I mean that only matters so much. It's just gotta. I hear a melody in my head, and then I put it down on the fretboard and run bass lines, drums, that sort of thing. I hear a beat in the head, and we just MIDI all that stuff, and then kind of let it ride with that. But absolutely, man. I write with melody in mind.
Yeah, dude, that actually answers what was going to be my next question, which was, are you writing, since it starts like most of us do, or most often with guitar, are you writing? I sometimes have a problem with relying on muscle memory and, like you said, things that are fun or comfortable to play. But you said you hear something in your head first and then you figure out how to play it, right?
Oh, yeah. Yep. What I wasn't used to doing, I come from a metal background, so a lot of single note, single string, you know what I mean, or power chord, and especially a lower tuning. Now I'm up into the the normal registers. We're like drop C sharp. That's the lowest we go. So now I'm relying more on chords. You know what I mean? A lot of open strings, a lot of, you know what I mean? Like making a whole wall of sound. You know what I mean? Like with one guitar, I want to be able to fill a giant space. And then that lead track comes in, the lead guitar track, which is carrying a whole different melody, but also intertwines into one giant melody wall of sound, So that's kind of where I'm headed now. I want to expand my my repertoire, I guess. I'm working outside of the box heavily right now. I like, and trust me, everybody likes a good bouncy track, right? So I love writing just a standard issue 3-4 chord bouncy pop punk song, all in the right hand. You know what I mean? Dun, 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 something like that, and then drums follow through. Pretty simple. But yeah, man, I want to create melody. I think melody's huge. It's pop. You know what I mean? Pop is all melody, and it's not. The older we get, man, I feel like the more we all enjoy pop, and we didn't really know it. We really didn't know it before.
Yeah, I can definitely hear that in you guys' songs, and I agree with what you're saying about really utilizing that harmonic content in the guitar and not just limiting yourself. And then also with the tunings, Brian, did you guys change tunings to fit like your range, or is it more again just on the riff?
So like when going to like earlier Levy, I was trying to write in standard because all my favorite bands from the 2000s wrote in standard, and I was like, oh, I'm just gonna write in standard. And then we wrote a song called "Sundays Are for Rallies."
That was my favorite riff overall.
When I played it in drop D, it didn't work for me. I just couldn't sing it. And so Brian, our other guitarist, he was just like, man, if we need to drop it, we're going to drop it. And so then like we ended up doing that. And Cameron's even like, we've been experimenting with like, I think it was B flat at one point. We experimented with it a little bit to see like if that would work, and just trying to figure out where the right vibe was going to be. And so for sure it like, cause I don't really have like a really high register. We definitely shaped like our tuning around my range for sure. And what's been really cool is like even now, like we're definitely like I'm trying to definitely write really well in my range now, because I feel like I'm aware of what is gonna like sound good with my voice. Because sometimes like I'll hear a melody and it's just way too high, and now I'm really, I think, honing in on this idea of like where my voice needs to be, and then working with like a few of our friends trying to find out like, even if it's not, how can we get it in my range and make it sound the best,
Yeah, I think that's awesome. That's a wise decision. It's something you learn or die kind of thing. Otherwise, it's just making it hard for yourself.
Oh yeah. Like I said, I mean, I'm so used to playing in the lower tunings, coming from a metal background, the hard rock, feeling it out of an amp, right? A distorted amp in like drop C or drop B. it just hits my chest, right? You know, and I play with feel, you know what I mean? I play with a lot of heart, a lot of feel. And as a guitar player, that's what I want to hear. You know what I mean? That's what I like to hear. And I don't think pop punk has to be, you know, I don't think it has to be limited to standard, half step down, or a full step down. I don't think, you know, and that's it. You know, drop C was like the lowest anybody ever goes. I don't think you have to do that, man. I don't think that matters. You know what I mean? So I think I'll get, you know, and I think it'll help Brian as well. You know, I really do. I mean, I'm playing with his vocal cords, man. Like I'm right on the cusp. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to go any further and limit him live. You know what I mean? We want to be able to do what we do in the studio live, and that's a big thing for us. And I think if I can get these guys to get behind the drop B tuning, man, I think it can not only sound huge, but you know, give people a little taste. Like, holy crap, you mean you don't have to play pop punk in standard? Yeah, man. You know, just open the box.
Like even bands like A Day to Remember have done like B flat and things like that. And
dude, A sharp. Yeah,
I definitely consider them on the heavier side of things, obviously. But like, but for us, man, like I feel like the moral of a lot of what we're doing is not. Is it pigeonholed? Is that what it is? I don't know if it's like not just like put ourselves in this box, man, and think that like we have to write in this tuning because that's what we've been writing in, or like the songs have to follow a certain structure. We've recently kind of like, especially Cameron when he was demoing with our friend Sam, like kind of breaking our mold of how the song's going to be structured and things. And it's like, why put yourself in this box? Because I feel like I'm going to go on a tangent here and tell me if you don't want me to go on this tangent. But I feel like pop music and some like rappers are breaking that mold too. Like I go to MGK a lot with friends, which I know there's a debate about it, which I know what side I'm on, but like I feel like he's breaking this mold of what like pop punk is and what rap is and hip hop and these things. And so it's like we live in a really cool time where genres don't matter as much as they did 10 years ago. I really don't think they matter as much because like we've all come to just accept we like what we like, you know? And so like that's why it's important. Like if we want to play in B flat, we're gonna do it. If we want to play in A, I've never tuned my guitar to A. Apparently that's a thing. But like if we want to do it, we're gonna do it, you know? Like just like let's not put ourselves in a box and let's just create whatever like feels right, you know?
Yeah, feels right, sounds good.
Yeah, I would encourage you, follow that. And I mean, if it helps, half our earliest stuff, and no, this is Patrick, it was all B flat because we were originally inspired by Chunk No Captain Chunk, and 99% of their stuff is B flat.
Huge.
So we were like, let's start with this. But now it literally depends on what again, obviously with the vocal range, but what tuning the riff sounds best in, because that can sometimes make a difference. It sounds weird, but like if you're chugging and doing some grooves on an open low string, it will give a different feel in different tunings.
Absolutely. I can attest to that, Matt. I can attest to that, which is why I keep multiple guitars on me, because we'll go back and forth, man. You know, I mean, that's the thing. When you're sitting in a crowd, and I know you've been there. Before we were musicians, we were in the crowds. And when you heard those low tunings hit you at the opening of a set, something happens to your body, man. Something just, you know, and that's the whole thing about the feel thing. So I know that one kid or that one person's in the crowd, and when that first note opens out and it's got that low sonic tone to it, now you've grabbed the feel. Now you've grabbed the heart of that person, you know? And then from there on, now you hit them with the groove and the melody, and you've sucked in a new fan. You know what I mean? It's just, that's how I learn music. And I enjoy listening to all type of music, you know, because of that. The differences in tuning and what you can do with musically is just, it's endless.
Yeah. And that also brings the point of, we're talking newer music and blending genres. And that's something I've talked about a lot on my channel recently with anyone from 12 Foot Ninja to Maximum the Hormone. Japanese bands are great at blending genres.
Absolutely.
But also the fact that especially now, you have to grab people within seconds. And that can be a tough sort of burden to carry, but also as a listener, I'm starting to become that way too. So
same here, man.
It's like, well, let's just get into it.
I've been like the worst like music critic of my whole life. If I don't like a song in the first like 20 seconds, I'm like, I can't like get into it. I've tried on some other bands. Sometimes they have to grow on you, but like that's how I've kind of always been. And I think Levy's moving that direction too, which is really like it's intimidating in a lot of ways, you know?
Yeah, man. Yeah, it is because, for one, we're a smaller band. We're new. People aren't just going to give us a chance. We don't have the luxury to put out an entire full length album and people just to sit there and listen to the whole thing because they love us. We got to catch all these people now. So that's when I write now, the first riff is the hook. So you get the hook with these new songs and the new stuff that we write now. You're getting the hook immediately. We come in with the hook because I want you caught, and I mean immediately. The first 2 seconds, you're in. And that's how we write now. We keep everything simple. We're not changing tempos. I'm not changing riffs. I'm not doing a whole lot of that. I've cut myself down to very simplistic, but keeping it interesting by using chords and using different different techniques and such. To keep it fun on our end, play what we want to play and what we like to hear, and also to cater to the listeners, man. We got to catch them and catch them quick. And I think we're hitting it. We're hitting it pretty good right now, man. I think this new single that we got coming out, I think it does this justice, man. I really do.
Yeah, I'm curious to hear about, so the next upcoming, soon to come out single, I think you guys hook people pretty quick, even on the existing stuff. So tell me what, without giving too much away, no spoilers, if that's a thing for music, but what are you doing in order to enact that? Other than like first riff is the hook, is there something totally out of left field on this one, or is it just a refinement of what you love?
I would, to keep it like pretty concise, I would just say it is a new sound for us.
Okay.
In a good way.
It's not like we're switching genres or anything. It's definitely pop punk, but it's definitely more pop oriented in regards to melody. What I mean?
And it took like what I think, like it if this makes any sense, it's our first EP. What's it called, man? I'm spacing on that. Here's to Someone, right? And then we did this EP called A Night In, where we were learning with Cameron and figuring out how to work with one another, and we were learning a lot from that like small process. And then with this one, I feel like we're really honing in on what we want to sound like moving forward.
I really do agree. I think what we've done on this single is mix exactly what we've been talking about for 2 years with each other. Do you know what I mean?
And that came a lot between Cameron and I, like, because like Cameron and I don't always like vibe on things, and so we'll sit there and we'll even butt heads at times. And I feel like we've found like this good common ground, and both instrumentally and even vocally, I feel like we found what we want to do moving forward.
Because here's the thing: I have to inspire Brian. Before, Brian has to like what he hears before he can write lyrics to it and really enjoy the melody. If I don't write a good melody instrumentally, he's not going to be into it. If I go too chuggy, or I do too many, I go the easy core route, which is what I really, really, really love to do. I think it's fun as a guitar player. I gotta get that out of my head and think I gotta please Brian here, but also I'm pleasing me by doing something different on the guitar and keeping the melodies, the melodies fresh and something new for me. And what I want to do when I'm writing nowadays, which I didn't do that with The Night In. I did everything the way I wanted to do it. I was like, this is what I like to play. I'm keeping it pop punk in the early 2000s, but I'm definitely bringing way more neck deep and that newer style into it. Now, I think I've catered to Brian really, really well, and he enjoys what he writes now, and that's huge.
And I think that's like this is the first time in my journey as a musician, and I've been playing since I was like in 7th grade, which was like 2007, 2008. this is the first time in my musical journey where I'm not the main like guitar writer anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not the main like songwriter anymore. I write my lyrics and I write melodies for vocals and I help like sometimes with songwriting, but like I'm not the one, this is my riff, this is my entire song, this is what we're gonna do. And so like what Cameron has done a good job of is mixing what I want and what he wants, and like kind of I think making, I don't want to say unique because like I don't want to put too much weight to that. But like I feel like we found what we want to sound like, you know, and definitely with the new one that's wholeheartedly exactly what happened, and I feel really confident and like excited, which I don't always get really excited about new stuff. So.
Yeah, Matt, did you listen to Mankind? I'm Like Mankind in the Way I Never Said I Quit? Yeah, so that was our last single that we released in September,
right?
Which was kind of we were beginning to turn that page, right? So that's definitely a more refined Eugene Levy, right? So after a night in, it was very rushed. It was, we're figuring each other out. I just joined. We need to get an EP out. I come in with some riffs, 3 songs. So let's get them recorded and throw them out there. So we did that, which it came out fine. It was okay. It's an okay EP, and people dug it.
It was exactly like at that time, since we rushed it a little bit, it felt rushed, and I feel like people who are listening to it may feel like it's rushed.
But I didn't get that sense. I didn't get that sense, and I totally understand why you guys think that way, because we're all our own harshest critic.
Yeah.
But I think that, it sounds good, and this kind of segues into something I wanted to ask you guys about. In addition to hooking people with an instrumental hook or a melody, I think the mix is a big thing that you need to focus on in order to legitimize yourself to people. And I think you guys have done a good job. Even on the older stuff, it's still very, very listenable.
And
we use the same engineer, so we've never went anywhere else
the whole time. And
that's good. That's cool.
His name, and I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Cameron, I might mess up the last name because I'm just really, really bad. But I believe it's Aaron Isaacson. I think that's his last name.
Aaron Isaacson.
Yeah, yep. and he like from day one when we recorded with him, like before Cameron was in the band, like he was an advocate for us, like in just completely. And then we just keep going to him, and he's just every single time he's been mixing us, he's just put. I think he knows what we're going for. He's like another member of the band. And he gets like the best vocal takes out of me, gets the best takes out of all of us. And we end up leaving the studio excited, which I think hopefully most people always leave the studio excited. But like Aaron knows what he's doing, and he's been recording bands for a while. He recorded my old band. He recorded our friend's band in 5 a.m., who's really good. Like he's just, he does such a great job. And I always tell everybody I know, like if you like, the most important part about being in a band is having a good recording. You should go to him. Like he knows what he's doing.
That's awesome. And that you guys are actually the second band this week to say basically we have the same guy and he's like another member of the band because he knows what we want before we know. And that seems to be like an amazing sort of secret sauce that you guys have been lucky enough to stumble upon.
Ooh. I've never had that before, man. I come from St. Louis, and there's recording studios everywhere, and everybody's doing it now. You know what I mean? Everybody's got their own little studio. This guy here, Aaron, is he's more of an engineer. He's an audio engineer, and in the way that, he's great at tracking, but his forte, what he wants to do is he wants to mix. He wants to mix and master. That's what he wants to do. I don't demo with Aaron. I demo with Sam. Sam's my demo guy and the guy that I write songs with. When I write with Sam is he's an unbelievable melody finder, and so I go in with the riff and we build a song from scratch because I want a whole team. You know what I mean? I don't want to just work with the same guys in the band. We're going to have the same formula every time, and we got to grab inspiration from other places. So I demo with somebody else, build the whole song, and then when we're ready to record, then we go into Aaron, and he doesn't want to write. Aaron doesn't really want to be a part of the writing process. He wants to hone in and just, I want to track you perfectly and then mix and master this thing to sound giant.
And where
he does exactly that.
where he excels at, I think, is like like vocal harmonies, and
Oh,
even
Aaron.
like even with like melodies, like he'll
Oh
help
man.
like help with like certain parts of melody, like the vocal melody, and he's like, maybe you should try this note instead of this note. And so like not only does he just record you, but he really does produce the track in it while you're in the studio. Sometimes he'll even like mess around with guitar parts, like maybe you should try this instead of this. I know he's done that a lot with leads and helped out with leads and rhythms, and like he's just all around. He knows how to create good songs.
Yeah.
And he helps us like really figure out what we want to be, you know.
Yeah. We work really well together too. You know, that helps a lot too, where it's not just like some stranger and, you know, everything you give him, he's going to shit on. And Aaron and I really work well together. When I first came in, I was nervous, but boy,
you know, everybody always is when they're in front of someone.
Dude, he's smart, man. He's smart. Him and I think a lot alike. God, makes it so much easier. And now he's more proud of us, you know, now than ever before, because he's seeing the growth and everything that he's told us to do by, you know, getting a team behind you. I think is a huge thing for up and coming bands, is to utilize more than just yourselves. You know, the 4 or 5 guys in your band. Go to use everybody you can in your Rolodex, if you will, and find inspiration somewhere. Maybe somebody else has got other ideas, and boy, it's helped us. This new single is that.
And that's what I think is cool, is like breaking down that idea that you have to be the sole writer and composer, and like that every idea has to come from your brain. Like I think a lot about pop music. It takes a lot of people to write a great pop song.
I agree.
And so it doesn't hurt to like include others. And like, obviously, like us as a band has a final say on whether or not we do X, Y, or Z. But like, it's always good to have somebody's input to help build it and help create whatever that is, man. And it just, and if they mesh well with you, it's just like another part of the creative process. It doesn't, like, if an idea comes from him instead of us, or like instead of me, like maybe it's a note, that doesn't make the song less my song, you know.
Yeah, ego has to come out of it. You know, ego has to come out of it.
It just makes it like just better, like,
without question, better.
Like,
yeah, that's a really hard thing to let go of. And
dude, ego's hard. Yeah,
especially, and there's this anxiety of like, well, I don't want it to like regret something changing or whatever, but A, you get used to the new and final versions, and B, 9 times out of 10, you're like, I'm glad I let that happen and worked with
I've
someone.
never been disappointed with the change that he made me do. Like when we record it, like sure at the time I'll be like, I don't know. And I might even be a little bit bummed, but then I walk away and let's do it like X amount of time later. I'm like, that was the right call. And so like, having people like Aaron Isaacson and having people like Sam Nelson like really help us right now.
Mm-hmm.
It makes us all around better songwriters as well. And so we walk out of the process knowing more than we came out, or more than when we came in.
100%.
And it's just it's so important.
It's shaping us, man, and I'm proud of all of us. You know, I'm proud of all of us. Brian's grown so much as a melody writer, the lyrical content he's putting out, the words he uses. I mean, he's taking poetry classes. The guy's just digging in, man. He's digging in with words and you know, things that you don't hear on every pop punk album. I mean, lyrical content may be similar, right? It's definitely relatable on a lot of levels, but man, he really digs into words. Vocabulary has been giant.
It does feel really personal to me. That's what I thought. Like and don't take this wrong way, I'll be the first person to be like, I don't normally like kind of party lyrics and stuff, but yours felt like the songs that were that subject matter felt far more real. And it wasn't like, look at how cool I am. It was like, look at how lucky I am to have all these cool people. And I loved that.
Yeah. Well, like I hate the idea of like being like, I don't like the attention necessarily being on me. And so when I was writing those like party songs, they were intentional because I wanted to like talk about like, I have a lot of good memories. I feel like everybody like in the music genre. I have like memories being at parties. It doesn't even have to have alcohol at them. Like it's just parties with your friends and everybody's just enjoying yourselves. And I wanted to try to capture that at that time because previously in my old band, I wrote a lot of sad songs. So I wanted to flip the switch and see if I could write some positive songs about being around people. And what's really exciting is, for me at least, is I feel like I got that out. And with like Mankind to go to that song, we started switching gears and just like honing in on something a little bit different with that one. So it's like, okay, we can write a lot of party songs. We can write really fun songs that like that. But what else can we do? And I think Mankind shows that we can do that, you know?
Yeah, and Mankind himself apparently agrees. I saw recently too.
I nerded out so hard on that because I've been watching Mankind since I was a kid, and naming a song after him like was a no-brainer. Like originally, I really wanted to put The Rock in there because The Rock is significantly more famous than Mankind, but I had to get Mankind's name in there and ended up going with the Mankind thing, and then. We paid for that cameo. I'm not gonna like be like, oh, he just found us on Twitter or something like. Random. Like I'm not even gonna like try to front that. Like we were like, dude, let's totally like, even if we gotta pay for it, we gotta put it in front of his face.
Yeah,
and
dude.
See what he thinks. And the coolest part about that, I think, so all he had to do with cameo was send us a video of him reacting to the song. That's all he had to do. But he chose to share it on Twitter. He chose to like in wrestling terms put it over, and it just made me so excited because I was like, man, I watched you fall off of a cell when I was a kid, and like that's ingrained in my memory. That's not what the song's named after, but like it's ingrained in my memory, and to have him acknowledge my existence and music and the band's existence, it was just really, really great.
Dude, that's so dope. And on a similar note, and swinging back to the idea of collaboration and having a team and doing things together, you guys have a feature on the new song, right?
Yeah, we did release that, so that's not exclusive anymore. Yeah, Nick Thompson from Hit the Lights is going to be he's going to be singing on the track with us. So that was also surreal because I mean, Mike, we all grew up. Skip school, start fights, man. You know.
I was in at this is a stick up, don't make it a murder. That's my heart. But yeah, dude, great band, and it's really cool to have him on the track, and he sounds great on it.
Dude, and speaking of sounding great, since we're all guitar players at some level here, I know that you had some stuff going on with guitar, and you've talked about your producer, but I'm always curious how people get their sounds. And as a guitar player, as a mix in general, I'm always interested in. But I'm what Squiscar would say a tones chaser. So I'm always interested in how people are doing what they do.
I'm sorry, I can't even.
Brian's gonna laugh at me, but dude, I've been how Brian's a nerd with. Brian's a nerd with wrestling and all that, and nerds out to wrestling. I've been playing Paul Reed Smith guitars I started playing guitar when I was 6 years old, and probably when I was 12, 11, my dad helped me get my first Paul Reed Smith, and there's obviously some giant artists out there that were playing them and, endorsing them. Mark Tremonti being one of them from Creed back in the day. And so like I said, that's where my musical influence came from. But yeah, man, I strictly play Paul Reed Smith guitars now. I got the endorsement with them. I use Fractal Axe effects for all of our tones. Let's see here. I run Evertune Bridge, which is another endorsement of mine.
You just got that put in too, right?
Just got that put in. And so that's my studio guitar trying to show.
That might be the thing I'm most jealous of because I've never had one like that, but I'm so anal about tuning, especially while recording, so that dude, I'm so envious of that.
And you can just wail on those things and they just stay in tune. It's wild.
Yeah. So, and that's the cool thing about that, man, is staying in tune. But when you're also, when you're recording, you're trying to do all these chordy things, a finger can bend a string, you know what I mean? When you're trying to make a weird position.
Yep.
And you can set these to where no matter how you bend the string, it stays in that tuning. You know what I mean? So if
That's
I bend
crazy.
a string, yeah. So I've got a video on that. We did this in the studio, just trying to explain how it worked and all that stuff. So I can bend and it never loses the pitch. It never loses D sharp or C sharp. I could bend it to China, man, and it stays in C sharp. So it's been a huge asset for me. Like I said, I'm probably like you, Matt. I am the most anal guy in the world. I hear an out of tune note at practice or anywhere, and it just kills me. I mean, kills me. So it was a no brainer. I know, cutting into these PRS guitars is cringeworthy to a lot of guys, but play
None of
one.
it's for a good reason, though.
Dude, play an Evertune, especially when you're a musician like us and you play shows constantly. You're traveling, humidity. You're pulling that guitar out and knowing that it's right. There's that confidence that's just lifted off you. You know what I mean? Like now you can step on stage or step in the studio and just go and
second guess yourself. Yeah.
And so that's not in your head anymore. You're not listening for that. You are, but you're not. Now you can just focus on performing, and that was big for me. So
that's actually a great way to put it, to talk it up is taking that worry away and refocusing on stuff that is all about you and you're playing.
Now and like I told you, man, I play with heart, I play with passion, energetic on stage. I want to put on a show, but I think, like I said, the music I play, like that's what fuels me. I actually enjoy and feel what I play. So I don't have to worry about tuning. I don't want to have to worry about if I'm bending a note, or bending a string where it shouldn't be bent. It's just there. It's just going to be there. You can set it to where it plays like a normal guitar if you want, bend it and all that. But studio, lock that thing in and just get ugly, man. So yeah, go get you an Evertune.
Dude, I'm definitely going to as soon as I can. And before hit my microphone, I always do that. So before we run out of time, we've got a little bit of a limit here. I always like to ask people, and this is especially relevant for you guys because I know you got recognized in alt press about being one of the top 50 up and coming bands in the country, which, first of all, congrats. That's super dope.
Thank you.
And
yeah, that's sweet.
There's as many as 50 is a huge number, but there's way more than that are just as deserving as you guys and everyone on that list. So our friends Ghost Town Remedy were on there as well. Could you guys, between the two of you, before we have to sign off, give me 5 bands that you think people need to check out that we haven't mentioned yet?
Oh man, that's gonna be so hard. 5 bands each?
Oh.
No, between the two of you, that would be unfair.
You know what, Cam? I'll give you. Do you want to take at least 1 or 2?
Yeah.
I have a million off the top of my head, dude.
I've made really good friends with the band Brooklane out of North Dakota. I know that I believe they were on that bill as well. But those guys just dropped an album that was pop punk to the core, man. I mean, hit it on the head, drove it home. Brooklane's a huge one. There's some Chicago guys out there. When the Sun Sets, they're a hell of a band. They're young kids out there, but they're doing well. They just got signed to the Lost Collective music something label. So congrats to them. Right. But that's just 2 off my head.
I was gonna say, let me get these last 3. All right. So I'm gonna cheat a little bit, and I'm gonna say I'm gonna say that this band isn't in my list. But if you watch earlier in this podcast, I list a person and their band. Listen to that band. Okay. We have good friends in a band called Manhattan Blockade. They're working on a full length record. I think it's a full length, and it's really, really good from what I've heard. The Great Homies. A band kind of that is kind of revamping themselves, and they did an amazing job on their EP. As a band called Say Days Ago, and It is amazing. I can't put that over enough. It is so good. It is not pop punk. It's actually like a very heavier. It's a very heavier band. And then I gotta say, our boys. Is it okay if I take the last one?
Go ahead.
All right. I just wanted to make sure. We have some friends in a band called Love's Blind, and they are really sick. They got one single out, and then they have a cover out right now. And I think within the next year, I heard their new song that nobody knows about, and it's amazing. And so once that band starts to get going and they like start putting out their new stuff, I think they're just so good. And it's Love's Blind. Make sure. I believe it's one word. I'm not.
Yeah,
sure.
it is. Yeah, but like I said, and I think it's worthy to say that 2 out of those 3 bands you just talked about all work with Aaron Isaacson. So
yes, yeah.
Awesome.
And what's really cool, man, is like those guys that I mentioned, they really like, and even I believe the people that Cameron mentioned, they all kind of like help network with us, and we build each other up, and
that's huge.
That's the entire point, I think, of local music is building one another up, and it's the idea of a competition doesn't make any sense to me. That's stupid. We should always be building each other up and going like, these are my friends. Have you heard this band? Have you heard that band? That's why it was so hard. It's like, give us 5 bands. I'm like, all right,
yeah,
I got these 3, and I have to say these 3 because they're my boys, and I know I'm missing a bunch of other great bands that we get to hang with. But yeah, those are my 3.
That's so dope. Thank you so much. Those are great suggestions. Before we fully sign out, can you tell us where to find you and when to find the newest single?
Yeah, you can check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Eugene Levy Band, YouTube, Eugene Levy Band. We're website, eugenelevyband.com. And yeah, new single, April 16th with Nick Thompson. Hit the lights.
Actually,
let's go.
Is that what it is?
April 16th, man. Yep. Friday, April 16th.
I had to double check on my calendar.
Time has no meaning anymore, so
really at least,
at least we've got
blink and it'll be April at this point.
Yeah, we've got one date to hang on to here. So thank you for that, and thank you guys so much for being on here.
Yeah, and if you guys want to check us out live, we're also we're dropping our live session on March 12th via Facebook Watch Party. It'll be on YouTube afterwards as well. But with all the crazy COVID stuff that's happened, it was nice to get on stage and do a little closed house jam session. And we also work with the local rock station to do some interview and chatting and just kind of bull crapping around. So it'll be something cool to watch March 12th.
That is also super sick. I'm looking forward to that. Thank you guys. Eugene Levy, everyone. Thank you so much for being on here.
Man.